everyone, Editor Sekhie here. I'm so glad to see that you all are enjoying our content. We did just hit the threshold for the new lowered YouTube memberships and channel membership stuff, so you might see an announcement about something about that coming sometime soon, maybe in Knickknack's upcoming streams or otherwise, but you know, thank you guys, and you know, we appreciate every single comment and every single subscriber. But on that note, we need to notify you of something coming up, right? So on July 8th, right, Saturday, we're going to be doing basically an all-day stream. And normally, I would just say, hey, we're streaming, VOD will be up later. But the VOD will not be up for this stream, because during this stream, we're going to have several unique pieces of content, and we're also going to do 3 reacts live throughout the day. Those will not be available up as part of a VOD. After the stream ends, we will take it down, and then they will be edited and released over the next couple of months. So, tune in on July 8th if you want to catch a couple of live Sekhie reacts, maybe interact with us as we're doing them. We'd love to hear from you guys, and we're really excited to do this. Also, you might get to see me opening up my Fate Grand Order account and playing a little bit. I don't know. I'm kind of terrible at it, and Knickknack's noticed, so maybe something will happen, maybe something won't. But yeah, so hopefully we'll see you all July 8th. I hope you enjoy this video. Yeehaw, America.
America indeed.
America.
Well,
My country, 'tis of thee.
We're doing Calamity Jane today.
Yeah, I don't have a song for that. I just had a song for America.
Woody's Roundup. Dun, 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 dun. I don't know
No.
how that jingle goes.
No. Ugh. But yeah, we're doing Calamity Jane because it's close to the birthday of this country. I don't have a superlative for it, I'm sorry. I can't say great.
This beautiful, young, innocent nation.
And I don't know if I agree with all those words.
Whatever, this is coming out close to America Day.
That's true. It's true. The one day of the year when, you know, all the Americans come out of the woodwork.
Look, just embrace America. Blow shit up.
I mean, that's really just the theme of this general episode, isn't it? Embrace America, blow shit up.
Yeah.
Yeah. So unbeknownst to most of our viewers, right? Since I get to start. Unbeknownst to most of our viewers, I'm currently just staring at like 2 shelves of nothing but country western novels. Because my dad made it a point to collect them. So like, the country story is kind of my inheritance, shall we say. You know, cowboys and everything. This is quintessential Sekhie's dad.
What you're saying is there's two horses inside of you, Sekhie.
Yes. One longs for anime and the other longs for Spirit Stallion of the Cimarron. Which I did actually just watch recently. Stunning movie, as always. So today we're covering Calamity Jane. This is the first time in a hot minute we've had a historical figure. Our last 2 videos have been...
We've had a couple mythological figures recently.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. Like, we have, like, our last 2 videos were all mythology, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Gotta go back all the way to El Malloy to find our last historical figures. And even then, they're a very different area of the world. I mean, you know, Zhuge Liang, Iskandar, and Samayir about as far.
Like, North American servants are very few and far between.
We've covered one so far, Paul Bunyan.
Yeah.
Have we covered any more? I know we've covered a Central American servant.
Yeah.
But Paul Bunyan's the only
North
American servant.
I guess technically Edison.
Oh, Edison and Tesla.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, they're very modern industrial complex.
This is quintessential American.
This is what Hollywood wanted you to believe the West was in, like, you know, the 20s and 30s. Like, this is Blazing Saddles. This is all of those Western movies with racist actors who are misogynistic.
Just forget about the fact that we're or not arguing, that we're telling stories about genociding the Native Americans.
Exactly! This is why Disney had to remake Peter Pan.
Yeah.
Did you see that they tried to do the whole orc thing with the Indians instead of Indians in the new?
No.
So in the new Peter Pan, to avoid... Well, do you remember the original?
Yes.
What makes the... You remember it. So I think in the new Peter Pan, according to the review I was just watching, they go kind of orc.
That's almost more insulting, isn't it? Because that original spot was occupied by Native Americans.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it have been...
But I think they were trying to still have like a group that lived with different traditions, but not point out an ethnic group.
But it's kind of like that saying that orcs are a stand-in for a specific race. You're like, well, they weren't, but now that you pointed it out, good job.
It's less racist than what makes the red man red, and why does he say how?
But you could have brought back the Native American element without bringing back what makes the red man red, and how does he say how?
That's true. That's true. That's true. Although I will say, as a innocent, childish, little young sap, I did sing along to that song a lot.
Look, we all sang along to some of the racist Disney songs. My personal favorite was "We Are Siamese."
You know, in a very similar vein, mine was Shanghai, Hong Kong, Egg Foo Young from Aristocats, which was like scrubbed from the internet for like a solid decade, except outside of like YouTube videos. Anyways, speaking of racism and the Wild West in America, we'll get back to Calamity Jane now. That seems like a good introduction. So Calamity Jane is one of the most well-known female women kind of adventurers in the Old West, a frontierswoman, a professional scout who worked with the military, and all around a very rowdy woman. She was well known for being bawdy, foul-mouthed, like a drinker, and just all around kind of unladylike, which, you know, for her era of life was really wild, because like the 1850s to 1903, like that's firmly in the Victorian era, right? And the Victorians were nothing if not public prudes and private incels.
2 steps forwards for feminism, 1 step backward for Native American rights.
Yeah. She also allegedly worked as a prostitute.
Look, we support our sex workers.
That's true. There's no shame in being a sex worker. So she lived from the 1852 to 1903. So she died fairly young, but not out of the realm of kind of, like, this is logical. Like, somebody who didn't have the best of health, maybe not the best health care. It's pretty logical for an age of death. And there's actually been some controversy over who her children were and who she was married to in later years. I'll touch on that in a bit. I don't think it'll really matter to fate, but I figure I'd touch on it anyways. So she is most well known for being a friend of Wild Bill Hickok. Wild Bill ran he ran a traveling Wild West circus.
Yeah, that was Buffalo Bill, right?
Yeah. Oh, no, maybe not. Maybe am I confusing Buffalo Bill and Wild Bill? Here we go. Hold on. Wild Bill. I think I am, yeah. Yeah, no.
Well, Wild Bill Hickok.
They're not the same person. They're not the same person. His nickname is Wild Bill, not Buffalo Bill.
Ah.
Yeah. No, at least if it was... He actually did run with Buffalo Bill.
Okay, that makes sense why I saw both names when I was doing my own
in
research.
the campaign of Black Kettle, killing Indians.
This is why I was like conflating them.
Oh yeah, because I knew she'd been in the show because she was a very famous sharpshooter, and her exploits as a sharpshooter. What was it? Somebody said about one of her sharpshooting shows that she chewed tobacco like a man, spit like a man, drank like a man, and shot like a man, or something like that. It was the most unladylike thing they'd ever seen. But I think she would, because of her appearance in Buffalo Bill's Wild West show, she was actually invited to go shooting with, I think, the king at the time. and like outperformed everyone competing against her. Well, because it was like bringing exotic things to the royals of Europe was a big thing in like the Victorian and like Edwardian era. Like, you know, you had basically a free right to see any royal you wanted so long as you brought something unique and not European, like Asian or African or American.
In this case, it was a broad who could hit a bullseye.
Yeah, in basically any situation. So she was born as Martha Jane Cannery, and basically grew up to look like a man, act like a man, shoot like a cowboy, drink like a fish, and she was well known as a very exaggerative storyteller. So she would tell tales and she would spin them tall as could be. Much like Paul Bunyan. Tall as could be. You hate me. She had a lot of siblings, and her parents actually migrated from Missouri to Montana when she was a child. That took 5 months, and during that time, she spent most of that time hunting with the men that were traveling with the caravan. Her mother died short after that, and then the family moved again to Utah, specifically to Salt Lake City. Following that, her father would die later in the same year, and then she took her siblings back to Wyoming, and then basically took any job she could find in Fort Bridger. This is where she worked as a nurse, a dance hall girl, dishwasher, and, according to some tales, a prostitute. So she joined, in 1870, she joined George Custer, General George Custer. We know that name. We, as people who are forced to live in America, know the name Custer. She joined as a scout, and this is actually where it began her habit of dressing like a man predominantly. The campaign she joined traveled to Arizona with the goal of putting Indians on reservations. You know what? Okay, I am not going to keep using Indians. Are we going with Native Americans? We're going with Native Americans. This is a contentious issue. I've had this discussion in some of my classes. Some groups actually prefer to be called Indians. Some like to be called Native Americans. There are tribes in Canada that like to be called First Peoples. Some people like to be called Amer Indians or American Indians. But I'm going to go with Native Americans because that's the term used by most groups in California. And that just is the one that kind of comes to mind most easily. Because I don't super like using Indians unless I'm told to use Indians. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It just doesn't feels a little icky, you know? Also, because there were all those jokes recently that came out on, like, fucking TikTok and shit about, like, how to tell different Indians apart, and they were talking about Indians from India and Indians from America, and I was like, no, we're not going there. We're not doing this. Like, it's funny to see someone else do it, but we're not going there. So Native Americans. So they wanted to put them on reservations. During this time, she essentially became one of the most daring and reckless, like, best shots in the entire West, right? Like, honed her skill, basically. She returned to Wyoming 2 years later, and she was ordered to the Musselshell Native American outbreak, which was fought by Custer, Miles, and Crook, that lasted a year, and this is where she earned her nickname, Calamity Jane. Fun fact, a lot of these stories are coming from her own autobiography and tales, because she liked to write and talk about herself.
Just tell your own story, and you can be as big of a figure as you want to be, and if you're the only one that tells it, and that same story's passed on over time.
Yeah. So, as Jane told it, it was in Goose Creek, Wyoming, where the town Sheridan is now located. The captain was shot, and she, riding in advance, heard the gunfire, turned around in her saddle, rode back, lifted him onto her horse when he fell off, got him to safety, and then he said, upon recovery, "I name you Calamity Jane, the heroine of the plains." And after that, she was ordered to Fort Custer, where she arrived in 1874. Then she was moved to Fort Russell, where she would remain till 1875. They were then ordered to the Black Hills to protect the settlers and miners from the Sioux, where they remained until they went to Fort Laramie in the winter. A little bit after that, she was sent north with General Kirk to join Miles, Terry, and Custer at Bighorn River. The Battle of Bighorn is super well known. It's one of the few things that teachers do cover in American history, especially of the West. During this time, apparently she contracted a severe illness and was sent back to Fort Fetterman and hospitalized for almost 2 weeks. And when she was finally able to ride again, she headed to Fort Laramie, and there she met Wild Bill Hickok, who was traveling with a wagon train to Deadwood, South Dakota. Both being outrageous tall tale tellers and extremely heavy drinkers, they became very fast friends. And it's often said that they were romantically involved. However, there's no...
solid proof?
No. Like, literally none, practically. Jane later joined this wagon train that would arrive in Deadwood in June of 76. During that month, she worked for the Pony Express, carrying mail between Deadwood and Custer, one of the roughest trails in the Black Hills country. And then later that year, Wild Bill Hickok was sitting at a gambling table, and he was shot in the back of the head by Jack McCall. He was holding a pair of eights and aces when he was killed, which would forever be known as a dead man's hand, which is pretty interesting because I had not heard that term before. A funeral was held the next day, and a jury panel was selected to try McCall. Let's see. He kind of got off. Like, the trial was found to have no legal basis, and like some stuff went down, and is essentially he wouldn't be hanged until like a year later, right? Calamity Jane remained in Deadwood, prospecting in the area. She nursed a lot of people back to health during a smallpox plague that struck the area. She said that even the doctor in the area said, she'd swear to beat the hell at them, but it was a tender kind of cussing. Let's see. She made a couple other notorious friends, like the gunslinger Arkansas Tom. Can we talk about Arkansas and Kansas?
Arkansas?
What is the fucking point? Arkansas and Kansas, or Arkansas and Kansas? Genuinely. That irritates me. Unfortunately, the two of them were dating, right? And supposedly they marched up and down the aisle together, but he was killed in a bank robbery the next day.
Calamity Jane sure earned her nickname.
Right, it's just people seem to die around her or get very hurt. So, later on, she was riding towards Crook City in 1877, met a stagecoach running from Cheyenne to Deadwood with Native Americans in pursuit. She found the driver laying face down in the boot, having been shot with an arrow, and she took over and drove the coach to Deadwood. Then she traveled to Bear Butte Creek with the 7th Cavalry, where they built Fort Meade. And in 1878, she went to Rapid City and spent the year prospecting. And by 1879, she was in Fort Pierre, driving mule trains to Pierre and Sturgis. By this time, she was real popular all around the U.S. Like, she'd caught the imagination of the public. One newspaper dubbed her the White Devil of the Yellowstone. Oh, I don't like that sentence. I don't like what I just said. There are connotations to that. Ugh. In 1882, she actually bought a ranch on the Yellowstone River, raising stock and cattle and keeping an inn. She actually headed to California in 1883, but left for Texas the next year. I get it. I mean, not for Texas, but I get it. Prices here are ridiculous. She would then meet Clinton Burke in Texas and get married. So she's got like 2 to 4 kids. There's no like confirmation on how many kids she actually had. It's kind of up in the air. Records weren't the best at the time.
Still, that's unusual for women. Normally, it's a lot easier to tell if they're your child or not.
Right.
Normally, if you have any question marks after your children
man.
count, it's a male thing.
It's a man, not a woman.
Calamity Jane really embraced that image.
Yeah, so over the next couple of years, they'd travel through Wyoming, Montana, Idaho, Washington, Oregon, and South Dakota, and she would try to sell her life story to anyone who could handle. In 1895, it took her to Buffalo Bill's Wild West show, where she performed in Minneapolis, Chicago, St. Louis, Kansas City. And then in 1901, she was hired by the Pan American Exposition, which I think that's one of the like early versions of that International Expo? You know the one I'm talking about. I can't remember the name of it, but World's Fair. It's like an early version of the World's Fair, I think. Except, she got good pay, but then she got drunk, shot up a bar, and made Irish policemen dance a jig to her guns. And then was run out of town. I feel bad for the policemen. I'll be honest. By 1903, she'd returned to Black Hills for the last time. Basically, she was just in the final stages of whatever disease is caused by raging alcoholism. And took refuge at a brothel in Belfourche, earning her keep doing cooking and laundry for the brothel girls. And, then she died, right? And she requested to be buried next to Wild Bill Hickok on Mount Moriah, overlooking the town of Deadwood. That wish was granted. It was the largest funeral held in the city of Deadwood for a woman. And to be honest, she's known to be the woman who exploited her life the most in terms of like storytelling and exaggerations. Like, she was wild. You know what I mean?
I don't know. We have to like put her head to head with Helena Blavatsky here.
Nah, not even.
You think Helena Blavatsky made up less than she did?
I think Helena Blavatsky made up less than this woman did. Yeah. No. Like, hands down. Hands down. Like, I don't even think that's a contest. Pan American Exposition was a World's Fair. It was the 1901 World's Fair. Oof. Cool. Fun fact, that's where President William McKinley was assassinated.
Huh.
It's also the exposition where Thomas Edison illuminated the night.
Man, all sorts of terrible things happened that year.
That week. It was only like a month long. Anyways, we've got a lovely picture of her up on screen. I'm sure there's some more if you scroll down to Wikipedia. For once, I actually didn't go to Wikipedia. I went to like some other sites because for some reason there's a lot of people in the US who are very, very, very invested in investigating Wild West history. And I gotta admit, sometimes it's pretty interesting. Like, I have seen some fascinating documentaries about...
Regardless of the historical, cultural connotations, the aesthetic here is like...
Yeah.
It's a classic.
Yeah, like, here's the thing. Wild West is just a whole-ass genre and aesthetic. Like, the old Wild West, I mean, the Sundance Kid, Butch Cassidy, the people like Calamity Jane, Wild Bill Hickok, Buffalo Bill, like, this is all... I'm honestly surprised we don't have Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid yet in Fate. That's an even bigger legend. I would have thought they'd go there.
We're not gonna see her today because I have no good way of getting a good photo of her without going back and replaying the entirety of the event that Calamity Jane was introduced in. But there is an unnamed servant who's very clearly an American frontier servant. So for now, any one of those names could be that one servant.
I hope it's the Sundance Kid. I don't know. I would love a Butch Cassidy and Sundance Kid. I'm gonna be honest. I think when I first asked you about doing one of the American servants, I think I asked if we had Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, because I really like them. They've got fun stories, and I mean, here's the thing, right? This was like the Wild West, like the Wild West that we conceptualized that like Calamity Jane came from. This was like a 60, 80 year span in history. This was like, I want to say probably something like 1830 to like 1920. I mean, this shit was going on while like Prohibition was happening and like flapper girls in New York.
Yeah, but if you're in the middle of nowhere and like...
You're not worrying about Prohibition or flapper girls in New York.
Yeah.
You're worrying about the animals tearing up your farm.
I'm pretty sure Prohibition wasn't all that enforced.
No, especially not out in the middle of nowhere. You know who I'd love to see as a servant? There's this one lady. I remember her name, but I don't remember her name. But she was like an American woman, and she led like the movement towards Prohibition. And she used to go. She used to go into bars and threaten men with axes.
So
is she in Fate?
No, But, like, literally the other day on stream, I think I said I wanted her in Fate.
What's her name?
I forget her name. I couldn't remember on stream either. But she is, like, if there were going to be any, like, learning with manga gag servant, like, she would be perfect.
The lady who went after drunkards with axes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, berserker, hands down.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. No, hands down. Speaking of classes, I expect this to be an archer. I'm gonna be honest. No, I expect this to be an archer.
If it's anything else, you're going to be deeply, like,
yeah,
curious.
The only other thing I could justify would be a caster based on the tall tale telling, and on my acknowledgement that most writers seem to get cast as casters. I mean, I'm not saying it couldn't be like a berserker, but like this seems right up the archer alley. Okay. Also, this better be a woman.
Look, the commenters have stated
women don't get turned into men.
There's only ever been one reverse gender bend in Fate so far. Commenters have told you that much.
But I don't know who it is.
You'll find out eventually, and it's going to be like, what the fuck?
Oh, dear Lord. Okay.
I think you were told and you blocked it out of your memory.
Maybe I did.
All right, so Calamity Jane is not the reverse gender bend. Go ahead and come to the design here.
Oh, I kind of love her. Yeah. I do see the magical girl Star Wars sort of vibe going on. I kind of love it. It really does just kind of spit on the whole dressed like a man thing, though.
Yeah.
Which I'm fine with. Oh, she got the pom-poms. That's kind of adorable. Now, if this bitch ain't a fucking archer.
Yes, Calamity Jane is an archer.
Because like, here's the thing. Archers can really be anything.
So,
but,
fun
like,
fact here.
But, like, here's the thing, right? If there's a servant who shoots something out of something else at people, and that's not an archer.
I believe it's been stated that there is, in theory, a class called Gunner.
Okay.
It's just you're never
We've
never seen one actually summoned in a non-gag material. I believe an interview or something that's been expressed. That is something that could happen. It's just there's not a lot there to work with.
Yeah.
And it's they can also usually be classed much stronger as an archer.
You'd be restricted to basically any servant post what, like 1500.
Yeah,
like
they'd have to be fairly
post
modern.
1500. And to be honest, to be like properly like a marksman or a sharpshooter, it'd have to be post like 1700. Because guns from like 15 to 1700 were like, nah, fam.
And the problem is the more modern servants tend to be the weaker ones because there's just less mystery around them. Whereas if you classify them as an archer, at the very least they're getting the archer like independent action. I can hit things 700 feet away.
I don't know, man. Calamity Jane's got a lot of mystery about her.
True, a lot of that's because she made a lot of shit up, though.
You have to admire that, though.
Bullshit artist.
Yeah. That's the feat I have in game.
So here's the deal. You did catch on quickly that that's a fucking laser gun.
Yeah. Well, it looks like a fucking... I've seen enough of these goddamn gunpla lightsaber shit.
So, we do not have Calamity Jane as a properly summoned servant, technically.
Okay.
This is the Servant Universe version of Calamity Jane.
Stop shaking the table.
The Star Wars parody.
Yeah. Servantverse. Yeah.
That said, this depiction is...
You know what this is? This is better than the yellow abomination.
So, fun fact, they're best friends.
I was gonna say, because we made a joke. Somebody made a joke about that because I was complaining about the outfit looking like a yellow fluorescent abomination of a cowgirl outfit, like stereotypical one. And I knew Calamity Jane was the reference, and I thought it was really funny because I knew we were doing Calamity Jane later in the year, but obviously I hadn't seen Calamity Jane.
So, she's probably closer to what Calamity Jane actually would be like. Someone, just sans the laser gun and a couple of what her abilities are. Mm-hmm. She's not quite on the level of Mysterious Heroine X or Space Ishtar.
Yeah.
There is going to be some historical...
Hey! Sorry. There's a mention of Billy the Kid.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, there is going to be some level of historical aspect to this.
Yeah. Woman who brought Calamity, who always lost her lover in battle. I mean, yeah. There's that legend of rescuing the cavalry from assault by the indigenous people.
I'm sure the cavalry people didn't deserve it, those poor, innocent cavalry people.
Oh, so we do have a Billy the Kid servant.
Yes.
I just said I would love to have Billy the Kid. Oh.
No, you said,
I said Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. I also met Billy the Kid.
Yeah, no, we do have Billy the Kid.
Okay. We should have done Billy the Kid today.
I think we have him on the schedule at some point in the far out future.
Okay, maybe he might be next year's.
Yeah.
Everyone forget that.
Well, they don't know. We could be just fucking lying here because we don't have the schedule in front of us.
That's true. We could be entirely
Billy the Kid
wrong.
could be in fucking September.
It could be. Yeah.
So Calamity Jane here, as far as the servant universe goes, was amongst the chosen servants that went on the exploration to the Red Galaxy to discover the primordial goddess Ashtart origin.
Yep.
There she was one of only 2 survivors, the other being Sigurd.
Okay.
The 2 were cursed with immortality as a result, and she would go on to partner with the orphan Space Ishtar as they worked together as galactic bounty hunters.
Yep. You know what? That's actually a pretty cool backstory for Fate, you know?
Yeah, Saber Wars 2 leaned a lot more on space western than Star Wars.
I'm a fan of that, though. Like, here's the thing, right? Here's the thing. I don't read a lot of those, like, old western novels, but, like, I did read a bunch growing up because my dad used to give them to me, and, like, I have watched a bunch of the old western movies, and, like, they're not good, but there's like you have to look away from a lot. Like, you just have to ignore like 80% of the movie. But that other 20% is usually pretty good. You just have to ignore all the treatment of women, all the treatment of Native Americans, all the treatment of Irish, and all the treatment of Asians. And blacks. And anyone who wasn't Caucasian. Yeah. Or male. But the interactions between white men are funny. Blazing Saddles. That's all you need to know about country westerns. Just watch Blazing Saddles.
I have never seen Blazing Saddles. I'm serious.
Okay, well, he's gonna watch Blazing Saddles in the next 2 weeks. Like, point blank period. I'm sorry.
If I wasn't tied up with something tomorrow morning, I'd say I could do it tonight, but not tonight.
Yeah, you have something to do tomorrow. I will find you. You're gonna watch Blazing Saddles. I literally cannot repeat the quotes I know from Blazing Saddles in a public context. I literally cannot. I am too pale to make those jokes. Do I get to read relationships now?
Yeah, go right ahead.
Okay, Billy the Kid. Hey, Billy, what do you think about the guy who got shot in the head from behind while playing poker? Dumb? I think the same. Rude. Ishtar, Rushku, Space Ishtar, incredible, wonderful. There are so many Ishtarians in here. The wild Ishtarian, and the wild Ishtarian, and the wild Ishtarian, and the graceful Ishtarian. Amazing. You can pick and choose. With this, we could even play... Okay. Yeah, authenticity. Paul Bunyan, Super Bunyan. Okay, no way, that's Paul Bunyan. Isn't she an extremely cute girl? So good. This Bunyan's so good. I want to take her on a frontier trip. I feel like Paul Bunyan would have, like, enjoyed, like, a scenic trip. Yeah.
So, ability-wise, her gun does fire normal bullets besides just the obvious, like, space energy blast laser things.
Okay.
Writing,
interesting. Oh, yeah, because she was a really good writer, too.
Mm-hmm. So, amongst her person...
Humans are space orcs. Humans are space orcs. Honestly, the Wild West is responsible for 90% of humans are space orcs. I shit you not. Okay. Presence concealment. So that's the professional scout bit. Okay.
Yeah.
Independent action.
Presence concealment's not normal on an archer.
No. But she was a scout for the army. I mean, she had to.
So the last skill there, before you get around to reading it, that was actually an NP that got powered down.
Well, I was starting on these. So subversive activities, scout work, so galactic messenger. Yep, to have the directives delivered. cool. It is not clear whether the historical fact is true or not. Oh, polar stars show the way. Oh, okay. Oh, so she can't use that anymore.
Yeah, that was a direct result of fucking with the primordial goddess.
Ah, okay. So that's why she has 2 phantasms now?
Yeah, well, one of them is sealed and became that skill. The other one
Sentinel
is
Stellaris.
The other one is her current still existing noble phantasm.
I will open that in a new tab. Space Dead Man's Hand. Black hand that invites. I mean, it's obviously...
It's the recreation of the death of Bill Hickok.
2 pairs of spades and a club of ace and 8. Yep. It was a bad luck bullet. Yep. King of the Plains, a lover and a friend. So they lean into the lover and friend. Yeah. Yep. Assassinated from behind by Jack McCall.
Yep.
Who said he was doing it to avenge his brother.
The other noble phantasm, the Sentinel Stellaris, that one is something that allows her to see an insurmountable threat and determine the weakness that'll allow her to beat it.
Okay. That makes sense. She would have had to learn skills like that. I mean, so, analyzing, military tactics of other groups while observing as a scout. So that makes a lot of sense.
It's kind of...
despite the fact that this is a, hot, I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt, 19-year-old girl. It's fairly, in terms of, adherence to...
Even though it's like Saber Wars, it's still adhering to the history quite a bit.
Yeah, this is Calamity Jane. If you told me all the history stuff, I would know that this is Calamity Jane.
It's a Calamity Jane with a few Star Wars tie-in sprinkles on top.
Exactly.
Not
It's galaxy-flavored Calamity Jane.
I think it's sprinkles. Galaxy-flavored, that's like MHX is the galaxy-flavored Artoria.
That's fair.
So Calamity Jane has been around in the code since early FGO. She is pretty much a launch servant. She just wasn't available till 4 years later.
Interesting. Any reason for that?
Nope, they just didn't find a good spot to put her in the game, and they never did.
Okay. Should I go to her NP?
Yep, that's about all I have for her.
Oh. Boobs. I love the pom-poms. I like how she's fighting Yakuza.
Those are the Space Bandits. They wear badges that make them all sabers.
It's a Yakuza. I mean, they're right about the acrobatic fighting style. I mean, they do have her bouncing around. Oh, with the little kissy. Oh, and the cards, yeah. Dead Man's Hand. I'm gonna be honest, this is great. I mean, I don't know if you expected me to like this, but this is great.
I figured it could have gone either way.
Yeah. This is what I call a fun take on an American servant who's got so many tall tales about them. I was a little disappointed in Bunyan, I remember, but this is great.
Bunyan was also very clearly not Bunyan, though.
Yeah, Bunyan was not Bunyan, but yeah, no, I like this. I assume that means we get to move on to...
CEs? There's probably not too many of them, though.
Other stuff, too. I knew it. I knew she'd have a baseball. So Sekhie just came out, real time. And I've seen some comments in both the Iskandar and Sekhie video. I can address this now, even though it's going to be coming out 2 months later. I am reading your comments. So apparently they brought on a team of 24 artists to do the baseball arts. And some artists were actually given a set of servants to make a team out of, and some were just given a few and they didn't have to make teams, which is why we were noticing before that some of them looked like a unified team,
especially the ones that were really closely related.
Yeah, all wearing the same jerseys, and other ones don't. So that makes more sense as to why there were so many different art styles we've seen already, because I think we've seen 3 or 4 different artists already, and a couple different teams, as well as what looked like one-offs at least once or twice. So yeah, because they figured, because apparently the baseball thing was it's done for every servant in FGO, all 400. It was not just some of them, it was all of them, and it takes a lot to do that, so they didn't want to put it on the
one guy, because the list is ever growing, and he's probably done that for so many at this point.
Which, kudos. Yeah, kudos.
Just means our thumbnails might have a much higher baseball volume. In the future.
Also, I'd like to comment, I just really like her color scheme. I'm a big fan of like this kind of minty green. I know you might not be able to tell, but...
No, it looks like a pink to me.
Okay, it's minty green.
I sometimes see minty green if I stare at hot pink.
Love that. Evil. Okay, so she does have some extra stuff. This is from her illustrator. That's cute. Aww. She looks comfy. Adorable. Yeah. They're eating fucking McDonald's. She took her fries. Oh, that's a blush. Man, I wish I knew what this said. I'm sure somebody in the comments can tell me. Alright. Okay, so yeah, not a lot. Shit, this is gonna be so short. God damn. I did see this art earlier and I was curious about it. So, cheerleader of the shooting stars. Okay, so there's her gun and her pom-poms. Let's see. I don't know anything about your universe, but take a look at this me. I'm not really a cool hero or anything, and I'm just a thrill-seeking traveler who can't stay in one place. That's why I don't have a home or any money. The only thing I actually have are countless memories, and the feelings of longing that sting my heart whenever I set out on a journey. But this time around, I'm going to stay in one place a bit longer than usual, because this place is so much fun. Since you don't seem to be bothered by my catastrophe nickname, I'm going to root for you with everything I've got. Yeah! These are a set of victory pom-poms used numerous times to cheer on countless friends scattered throughout the stars. She may say that she doesn't carry anything with her, but like a pole star, she holds firm to these treasures. That's pretty sweet.
A story to the pom-poms.
Yeah, that's pretty sweet. Alright, SCB, Space Chocolate Bar. It's literally in the flavor of Space Mint. So my calling it minty green was quite accurate. Nutritious, galactically amazing. A chocolate bar popular amongst galactic cowboys who are known to have the toughest jobs in space. Believe it or not, just one of these packs a whopping 3 million kilocals. And this time, it's Jane's favorite Space Mint flavor, which sells out the moment it hits shelves. A limited edition SCB. Impressive. Disgusting. I hate mint. Hide Hunter. Hot. I appreciate the belt and the cowboy hat. And the handcuffs. I like the handcuffs. The summer heat hangs in the air. The moment sweat trickled down her skin, she finally makes a realization. It wasn't her that was doing the hunting. That's... charged.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
This is the setup to a porno.
Yeah, yeah. I like this. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
This is a nice chill servant, like just recent historical figure, you know, solidly well adapted. I'm a fan.
Only one form.
Yeah. Speaking of only one form, that is not the case for our next video. We'll see you next time.